So stage is all yours.
Perfect. Thank you, Kumar. Shall I go ahead and share my screen?
Please.
Could you let me know when you are able to see it?
Perfect. I am able to see the screen and I have now brought it up on the main video. Best of luck. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks. Hi, everyone. My name is Cemal Tevrizci. I am based in Melbourne. I am a senior solution architect working in Microsoft Fast Track team. A bit of a brief background for me. I am coming from a cross-functional background. I started my career in an international bank in the marketing team, and I've also got educational experience, education around marketing as well. So, based on my professional experience and my educational background, when I talked to my good friend Faisal, I thought presenting around what's coming next with Dynamics 365 marketing would be a good idea. So here I'd like to present the recent changes in the global trends, which creates a shift in how marketing teams work, and how, as Microsoft, we are meeting this demand with Dynamics 365 marketing and our new features. As our agenda today, we will first talk about the business drivers which impact the role of a marketer today, and we'll continue to do so in the near and in the maybe next few years as well. Then we will move on with key features we released last year, and particularly in relation to our first agenda item, we will talk about how real-time event-based journeys actually support these global trends. I will also walk you through the interface as well, how real-time journey canvas is built and how it can be operated. Lastly, as I am part of the Fast Track team, we are involved in hundreds of enterprise-level implementations every year. So I'd like to share a few important caveats while deploying Dynamics 365 marketing. Before I start, I'd like to get your support here. I'm a fan of interactive presentations, so I will be using an application to gather your opinion on over certain items, and of course, it will be more fun for all of us. So I'd like to ask everyone to scan the QR code, please, and enter the pin on the screen. This will log you into a kind of a game, and we will have one question in each turn. I will share the outcomes with you in real time in this presentation. Please feel free, there is no right or wrong answers, and it is anonymized anyway, so feel free to respond based on your thoughts and experience. I will switch back to my polling game in 10 seconds. Please scan the QR code and enter the pin on the screen. We've got two, only two. Yes, we've got Swift Bunny as well. Awesome, more coming. Just give a couple more seconds. All right. So this is a warm-up question. I just want to understand if you have any experience around dynamics marketing. Could be for a project, could be just for demo or self-learning purposes. Awesome. Most of the participants have at least some experience around deploying it, which is really good. And we've got one person who haven't, and for this person, nowhere at all. So this is not a technical deep dive session anyways, and I will walk you through all the basic concepts. So this is all good. Okay. So moving on. Like I said, there is a global shift in how a marketer is working from day to day, and I'd like to explain what are the key drivers in it. As solution architects or functional or technical consultants, we always look at the applications. Now, I'd like to share the perspective of a marketer and how they are working and how this function is kind of being changed. As a starting point, first, I'd like to talk about the recovery in the new normal. Right now, we are in this COVID situation for maybe around 1.5 years now. When we look at the business trends and consumption trends, we can say that the world will turn back to normalcy at some point, but it won't be the same when you compare it with before COVID. It will be the new normal. So we will talk about these changes a bit. Secondly, even without a global pandemic, in the standard marketer's role, it was being redefined in almost all industries. So we will talk about these drivers as well. And lastly, I want to talk about the impacts of these changes and how they are pushing marketers to be acting in a more agile way. First of all, with the COVID situation and how our lives are being completely redefined, I guess everyone is noticing it, but it's very important to reiterate. Our experiences are being digitalized. So when you look at your consumption trends or behavior, you are probably consuming more in online and consuming less in offline. So this is a huge trend. Online consumption in the rise and offline consumption is obviously decreasing. And this is not just because of lockdowns. This will be an ongoing trend. And even with the experiences that are face-to-face, they will become digitized in some manner. Contactless is kind of a big driver there. Based on this COVID situation, even the face-to-face interactions are becoming contactless. And contactless means that process needs to be digitized in some form. The second thing is for a marketer, as the online world or the digital world is growing, being relevant is very, very important. Because if you cannot be relevant, then you cannot raise awareness. If you cannot raise awareness, then you won't get traffic. So this is quite key. And then once you do everything right, so you've got digitalized processes and experiences, you are able to be kind of relevant and you are raising awareness. Still, tailoring the online experience is crucial to a successful of an organization. And I'd like to pause here and let you all think about the word tailored. When you think of it, if you're getting a tailored suit as an example, you go to a tailor, he or she gets your measurements and listens to you, gets your requirements, and then creates a suit that is completely customized to your measurements and requirements. But for a tailor, it's easy because they will have a handful of customers at any point in time. Now, let's take this concept to a marketer's world. You are a marketer and working for a retail organization. Now you have millions of customers and you need to tailor experience. Every one of these million customers have a unique scenario. How are you going to do that? So this is one of the challenges that marketers face every day. And lastly, it's about loyalty and churn. As the world is becoming more digital, loyalty is becoming more important because churning is getting more and more easy for a customer. I can easily switch. It will be at a single click. So these concepts are kind of important, and maybe they were already important before COVID as well. But after the COVID situation and in the new normal, they will be key drivers. Now I've got a second question. If you can please log into the game again. If you were already in the session, then I guess you don't need to log in. But if you weren't, I would encourage to scan the QR code and get back in the game. Just giving a couple of seconds here. Now our next question is about the function of a marketing department. What do they do? Perfect. So most people are saying that it's building a brand image, and also there are responses around creating content, running ads and campaigns, monitoring and managing social media, which is all true, by the way. They are all very important functions of a marketing department. Now, I asked this question for a purpose, obviously. While these are all true, there is another trend, which is kind of an emerging area, and that is architecting and designing customer experiences. When you think about it, maybe 5 to 10 years ago, the thought of a marketer owning an end-to-end customer experience, or let alone designing, even understanding what an end-to-end experience was, it was really immature. However, in today's world, marketers are expected to design these experiences and have these kind of cross-functional skills to be able to do so. And that brings me to my last point around key global drivers, which is agile marketing. Yes, agile here as well. I guess we are all familiar with the term and what agile is and what its main purpose. So in the marketing context, it is no different. It aims to deliver a marketing functions in a manner which keeps up with the dynamic pace of the market. Now, before explaining this further, I'd like to share a real life story from my early career days. So I was working in an international bank in the marketing department, and we've got a very good team. Everyone was so creative and inspiring. We always had great ideas. And when we had this great idea, um, then we had to go through a process. And it started with writing a brief for a creative agency. So we said that, okay, we have this idea, we want that type of a communication and these kinds of ads, and here's our brief. And then they will send us some images and banners and ads, some visuals of the marketing campaign. And obviously, we would iterate on it, saying that change this, change that, change the color. Once this is done, we would reach out to the analytics team and get a customer list, and then obviously clean it up. Then the third step is go through the senior management approval, saying that we are spending that much budget, we are aiming to get this as an outcome, these are our visuals, and we would go through this process. And as a last step, we would say, okay, legal department, this is our campaign, this is the ads that we would like to run, and here it is. And legal department would come and say, okay, but you need to change that sentence, you can't say this, you can't say that. Okay, now we are back to square one. We have to go to the creative agency again, say that, we have to make these changes. Once this is done, now our list is outdated. We are working for a bank. Maybe some of the customers already defaulted. We can't send them a campaign. Now, try to clean up the list again, get another customer list, and then go through the approvals again, and then check with the legal again, and then run the ad. And it took, in an optimistic scenario, around 8 weeks. So this is kind of not acceptable in this world. This is why agile marketing is a thing, and it will be a growing thing in the marketing context. First of all, agile marketing teams are highly skilled cross-functional teams, which can take the process and reduce this 8 weeks process to a couple of days. Typically, it would contain these skills in an extended team as well. As everyone is in the same team here, they can focus on the one important thing and collaborate much faster. Building teams like that is not easy. There are many considerations: technology, team formation, talent acquisition, regulations, organizational structure, so many. And obviously, dynamics marketing alone cannot solve all of these. But there is one area which it actually exceeds all the expectations and even the market norms. This is creating a single journey map which makes everyone in the team speak the same language, look at the entire process over the same canvas. Now I'm moving on to the application area. First, this is a summary of a list that what we released this year in the first half and in the second half. What we brought is, first of all, new channels. Now we've got native text functionality. You can send SMS messages. The second thing is push notifications. So having an app is a common thing right now. If as an organization I have my own app, then I can use my customer journey to send push notifications for my app to my customers. The second thing is hyper personalization. It's a very big concept in the marketing world. Hyper personalization means being able to tailor journeys based on customers' unique scenario. If you remember that it was one of the main drivers of a marketer. So with the new features, we are actually enabling it. We are able to build logic into journeys to match customers' unique needs. The third one is AI-supported design and orchestration. So we've got AI capabilities to let marketers design the content in such a faster manner and in a better manner. And also in the orchestration space as well, AI is able to send this person a push notification instead of an SMS, and also change your communication. So these types of optimization in terms of what time to send it, which channel to send it, what message to send, could be optimized by AI. The fourth one is we are able to augment customer journeys with Power Automate. This is a big thing. Now, based on this, you can trigger journeys based on Power Automate flows, and also you can run Power Automate flows as part of your journeys. And lastly, we have improved analytics and insights around the customer journey canvas. And also, we've got one more thing as well. And this one more thing is seeming like a new feature, but it is more than a feature. It's a whole new way of doing things. And actually, this is the gist of my presentation here. But before going ahead with that, I have my last question here. If you could please log into the polling application. We will have one last question, and then we will move on. Just giving a couple of seconds for people who'd like to scan the QR code. Are you ready? Based on these features, I'd like to understand which one do you think will make the biggest impact? Yep, it's mostly AI-supported design and orchestration. Yeah, which is very important, and we've got votes for hyper-personalization as well. Yeah, Power Automate and new channels didn't get any votes, but still they are quite important new features that we are bringing. Now let's move on with the next thing. This is real-time event-based customer journey orchestration. Event-based customer journeys actually enable marketers to trigger events which are not existing in Dynamics 365 marketing. If you look at the standard way of doing things, even in Dynamics marketing in the old world, you would have a segment, and based on the segment, you will trigger a journey. As a contact, if I'm in the VIP segment, then my journey will begin. But still, this is including me into a pool, disregarding my unique situation. So with real-time event-based journey orchestration, you can set your triggers at any external data point. It could be your customers visiting your shopping site. It could be sending an online query. It could be if you have free Wi-Fi in your offices. Could be that they are connected to your Wi-Fi. Anything could trigger a journey, and these event triggers, could be used throughout the journey as well. Now I'd like to walk you through the interface and give a better understanding around how it's being handled. We can close this now. So this is the journey canvas that we have. As you see now, it's more of a wizard type of experience. I can specify if it's an event-based or a segment-based. I can choose my event trigger here. And as I said, there are infinite possibilities there. I've got a custom connector which is connecting to a Wi-Fi. I can also make it a recurring journey if needed, but in this case, I don't need it. You need to set up your time zone, obviously. If you have scheduled communications, it should be based on your time zone that you want to reach out to your customers. And lastly, you need to select the start date. Now here, if you're aware of how the old journey canvas works, it's kind of a standard form. You've got a summary tab, you've got a designer tab, you've got a couple of tabs, but this one is a single screen in its entirety. And I've got a couple of options here. First of all, by clicking start, I can redefine the settings that I did in the start. Now I have a goal. I can say that my goal is to drive a purchase. And I can also specify my custom event that is my goal. This will help me when assessing my success with my end goal. So I can say, I want my product to be purchased at the end of this journey, and I am expecting 10% of my customers to do it. And lastly, you can say, while going through this journey, if a customer purchases the product, then they're already done. I don't want to do any further communication. So you can specify this journey as a kind of a suppression rule to take them out of your journey. And also you can also specify your suppression segment as well. So this is the settings of a journey. Now let's look at what we have here. Like I said, we have two new channels, a text message and a push notification, in addition to sending an email. But instead of using these, actually there are more valuable items here. I'll start with this one, send messages through the right channel. What it does is you will need to specify the channels that you want to reach out to your customers. So it could be all of them. I want to reach out using all channels. And when I hit optimize, it will actually look at the person's profile and understand their behavior and let me reach out to them with the right channel at the right time. So this is what it does. Another thing is, maybe I am not sure of what channel it is, and maybe I can use this one. But what if I am not also sure of the content I have? Maybe I have different visuals and I want to test it. So we've got the A/B test at a new level. Now you can test the messages at the same time with different communication channels. So I can say that I want to test an email with a specific content and compare it with a push notification. When I hit create test, now I have my versions. I can specify how many of them should be sent to either of the versions. And I can also, not can, I should also define a success rate, a success criteria. Is it a click-through rate, is it an open rate, or based on the journey goal? So I will leave it as click-through rate, and it will be specified automatically. And if nothing wins, I can specify a default as well. So the test will not go ahead for forever. So this is the second thing that I wanted to explain. And there are two more things. One of them is responding to an action. So responding to an action is, remember we started with a custom event. It was connecting to a Wi-Fi. Within this external data point, whatever information that you are capturing, that information can be used in this tile. You can say that in this event, if the customer is joining my Wi-Fi in this branch, maybe do this or do that. So you can specify these types of interactions based on the triggering events. And lastly, this was something that the product was missing. But right now, what we can do is, based on the customer profile, we can branch the journey. So we can say, if this email is going to a minor, then I want maybe a certain specific email to be sent, maybe with a disclaimer. So you can branch your journey based on the profile attributes here. So this is the new journey canvas that we walked through, and these are the features that we see. Right now, it's in preview mode, and even the preview is only available in United States and Europe. But once we release it, once it's generally available, it will be a game changer for Dynamics 365 marketing. Now, as a last point, as I said, we as the Fast Track team, we are assigned to enterprise level projects mostly to assist and provide architectural advice. And in these occasions, there are a few patterns that we mostly see, and I'd like to make you aware of this one. The first thing is we need to understand that marketing elements, these design elements like the journeys, emails, segments, they are intended for end users. They are not developer components. As we are the SMEs here, it's all right for us to develop the first journey maybe. But in the end, a journey should never be thought of becoming a CI/CD pipeline component because they are not designed for that. They are designed for marketers. The second thing is the handshake between internal processes. So if you remember, we talked about marketing becoming a multidisciplinary practice. For this to happen, we should always ask about internal processes and the integration between these processes, even if there is no requirements. Ask these questions. What happens when a lead is qualified? What happens when a case is raised? Wherever there's a connection with a marketing process, with external processes, we should try to understand the business scenario there and build the necessary logic to make it possible. And the third point is around change management. Change management is bigger than development in this area because at the end, what we are deploying is the first version of a marketing initial elements, I would say. We should not deploy any hard dependencies to those. Where I'm coming from is, if you remember the Agile marketing team, they had a cross-functional team who can do everything. And say that they need a new flag. If they have to raise a change request for this flag and have to wait for 3 months to be prioritized, then it's not Agile. This is why we need to enable the customer, empower the customer to be able to self-sufficient after they go live. This is why change management, training, and upskilling is much more important than deployment in this area. I guess that was pretty much it. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Hi, Samal. Ajmal, I'll just look at the questions. So we have some questions around what do you think, like what are your tips for managing larger and complex events with the marketing app? So what will be your advice on that?
There is not a major challenge, I would say, with events, but we are bringing a couple of major updates in this area as well. The first thing I would advise is the event management website is an Angular site, and you need to have these skills to customize the website. Once you have this set up and customized based on your needs, then the rest is that wouldn't matter that much. If you have 10 events, if you have 1,000 events, the important thing is the ability to edit the Angular website there, and it could be hosted externally or through Power Apps portals as well. There's no issues with that. I hope this answered the
Cool.
question.
I think absolutely. So there's another question on screen. What are the recommendation for SMS campaigns? Any particular tool for MS from Microsoft's point of view?
So with the new release, we are bringing a native SMS capability. You will be able to provision your own SMS number and send your text through it. But additionally, we already have native integration, not native, but a third-party integration with Twilio and Telesign. So you can also use these third-party providers as well, assuming that your customer is happy to sign up with them.
That's cool. And there is some good feedback about the interactive tool as well, which you used. Well, thanks for using that. That was really amazing. I think I can see one more question on the forums, and that will be like any you think any major new capabilities which are coming in marketing, which the audience should look for, like your top three.
My top three is definitely check the progress in the real-time event journey canvas. As you know, this is what I mostly talked about. It will be a game changer. The second thing is always use and encourage using of AI capabilities. As a marketer, we can never be that smart to optimize it to that level. If we have machine learning in the background, it will be able to understand this unique situation for a customer and be able to reach out to them at the right time with the right message with the right channel. Always use these functionalities, I would say. And the third one is hyper personalization. With hyper personalization, again, you will be able to identify the unique scenarios of a customer. So AI could do the orchestration part could be done by AI. With your journey canvas personalization, you can specify important logic which will kind of avoid being irrelevant. I'm just giving an example there. So I've got a problem with my broadband very recently, and I was a bit furious, obviously. At the same time, while they were not able to solve my problem, they sent me a new offer. At any point in time, I'm subscribed with them for maybe 2 years. At any point in time, maybe I would be interested in them. They sent this offer at the exact wrong moment. So if you are smart enough to build this journey based on these logic, then you would be you would be avoiding these kinds of situations.
That's great. We have another question from Manoj, and he says, if customer is using click dimensions and want to switch to dynamics marketing, is there a way to move their current data from CD to marketing?
This is a great question. Actually, I spent many hours to create a playbook around it. So there is no such tool to automatically migrate it from click dimensions to dynamics marketing, but I can provide a playbook which can be used as a guideline to do that. Maybe I'll share it with you, and then you can share with Manoj.
Definitely, we can share a link in the comments for this stream later on. And also, I'm seeing a question like what you think will be the roadmap of infusing AI into the marketing? Is it still at a basic level, or when we can sort of see it more towards the maturity?
So there are three areas that we are using AI. The journey design and orchestration, I think we've gone through in detail. So this one is at production level anyways. Although our real-time event-based journeys are preview, AI and machine learning practices behind our production level. So anyone could go ahead and try it in their own customer data. The second area that we are using AI is converting natural segment to kind of queries. So when you are creating a segment, you can simply type in, I want to target accountants who are living in Sydney and having maybe have children. So while you are typing this, the natural language querying in the background is able to identify the actual queries that would build your target segment. So this is actually simplifying and democratizing all your customer data and making it available for use for marketers. The third area that we are using AI is quite impressive. If you remember, Microsoft acquired GPT-3. And with this integration, what we are bringing is, as a marketer, I can type a few words, and GPT-3 would be able to create the content for me automatically. When you look at the time allocation for a marketer, they spend the most time on content creation. So GPT-3 will be a game changer in that area. So these three areas will be key, I would say.
Excellent. So there are some praises for your session.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, the same. Thank
I
you,
really
Faraz.
appreciate
Thank you, Manoj. Any closing remarks, Zamal, before we end this session?
Nothing from my end, Kamar. I really thank you and Faisal to giving me this opportunity. It's been a fantastic experience for me. Thank you so much.
Our problem. Actually we are thankful to you for sharing your time on the weekend, and I know we are both in Melbourne, so we just came out of a lockdown, and
Yeah, let's
rooting
catch up
for.
for coffee.
Yeah, not to go for the next one. Definitely, let's catch up for coffee. That's something we can do now. Yeah, for the audience, so we had 5 lockdowns till now. So it was pretty hard, but yeah, that
It
that
wasn't
gives
easy,
us
yeah.
ability to yeah share these sort of learning sessions with you. So thank you so much, Samal. Have a
Yes,
have a
Kamar.
very lovely rest of the evening.